Where are we up to with Dan Ashworth coming to Manchester United? What does it take to get the best in class at a football club and keep the best in class standards up there? We're going to be talking in this live show about what Manchester United are going to have to do, the implications that's going to be for everyone else if Dan Ashworth is brought to Manchester United and when that is done, and then what we can expect when Dan Ashworth is through the door and the process of everything. We're going to go through the history of what Dan Ashworth has done and in his past, the players he's brought in. Would you take any of these players that I'm about to read out to you in this show right now and bringing that to Manchester United? Is this why everybody is now a little bit more optimistic about things and how we go? We've touched on it and sort of scraped over the surface of everything that Dan Ashworth can bring, but we're going into detail today of what it takes and where United are at in getting this over the line. Why United didn't do this in the past, why we wouldn't go above and beyond for the staff side of things, why it was all commercial and players while everything else that was going on in the club was just deteriorating from within. What does this also mean for John Murtough? We've got an update on that situation as well, along with other transfer news that has come into us as well today and everything else around the football club. More importantly, your comments and your thoughts on everything going on. Get involved in the chat right now, everybody. Make sure you do comment when the video finishes on the live. Please give the video a like before we get started. Let's get on with that. And obviously, if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. Hope you're all having a good week. We are 2 days away. We've got a press conference later on today as well. So that means that weekend is close. Thursday. Job done so far this month. Hopefully, we can carry on with that. We'll talk more about what Ten Hag's thoughts are regarding this weekend and everything going on at the club later on today. But right now, we're just getting an update on exactly where we're at with Dan Ashworth. So, the exact ins and outs of everything that's going on right now is that Dan Ashworth's contract states that he does have to go on a certain amount of gardening leave if he leaves or if he cuts his contract short. There is a compensation which is a set fee in that. But Manchester United don't want to pay that set fee because that set fee includes the gardening leave, which would not let Dan Ashworth be doing anything at all or would stop him from working until a certain amount of time. That reportedly could be anything up to 1 year for Dan Ashworth. So right now, Manchester United are in a position where they are negotiating probably or are going to enter negotiations with Newcastle, and Manchester United then will end up paying probably a lot more. Some reports last night that we could be looking around the region of 10 million just to get Ashworth out of Newcastle. That's the compensation that United will have to pay if they want to get him from Newcastle and get him into Manchester United and working straight away. Now, some people have said, look, it's gardening leave. He can be working from home, doing stuff, contacting Manchester United anyway. I don't know the ins and outs of how it works and if you get caught and what the implications are with that. But anyway, you look at it and you'd go, well, he can still do his bits. He can still make sure he's doing his job from home. But Manchester United just don't want to mess around. The word is that we are going to go out and spend whatever it takes to get Ashworth through the door. Now, apparently, reports coming out last night, and Fabrizio Romano was talking about this when he was saying that Dan Ashworth has agreed to Manchester United already. He has spoken with Ineos. Talks have gone on, and now the next stage we're at is Manchester United approaching Newcastle, and negotiations therefore starting with that so-called compensation and everything else involved in getting Ashworth out of the door at Newcastle. So that is where we're at with it. That's where Manchester United are up to with negotiation-wise for Ashworth. Now, the important thing in all of this is the fact that Ashworth has said yes. So this looks like it's probably going to happen now. It looks like we're going to get Dan Ashworth as the director of football. His roles and everything he will be coming into are quite significant. This is why United have gone for the best in class. You only have to list out the issues that a director of football would have to deal with. And they are obviously the players, player contracts, players we want out of the door, players that the manager doesn't want. And on top of all of that, the manager himself. Now, Erik ten Hag enters the last year of his contract at the end of this season. We've all said, look, and Ten Hag deserves to be at United next season. Well, we've not all said that, but there's been a lot of people saying that Ten Hag deserves at least a year with Ineos and everything that they bring. So the problem you've got with Erik ten Hag and his press conference, where it's all right me saying, look, I'd just let him see out his contract. That's the way it should go forward. You have to look at it from the professional sort of point of view as well, which is if Ten Hag is entering the last year of his contract, then you would normally negotiate a new contract at that point when there's 1 year left. When there's 1 year left on a contract and it's not renewed, then you enter a world of, like, you're not backing the manager. You're entering a world of, I've got no confidence in you going forward. That's why we've not give you a new deal. Where does this then lead into the psyche of Erik ten Hag going forward when he knows the club are not backing him? He knows this is his last year. The awkwardness of that situation is what a director of football would be dealing with. So straight away you can see the list of jobs that Ashworth would have to do and deal with. And Manchester United are making sure that they have got the power players in position to deal with all of the problems we've got this summer. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be good. And we talked about all the positives yesterday. But today you're looking at it and why Manchester United are bringing in the best in class, why we need someone like Dan Ashworth at the football club is because we have got our internal issues that have been developed ourselves, that we have made ourselves, and now we're needing to bring in someone under Ineos. If they're going to take the flak for everything that's going on now, and let's be honest, everything that happens football now, the Glazers are not even going to be looked at. It's now down to Ineos. So the Glazers can just say, well, they're in charge of the sporting side of things. It's for them to deal with. So this is why Jim Radcliffe and Ineos have gone in so strong on the team that's going to be above the manager and dealing with this side of Manchester United. So Berardo, best in class. Jean-Claude Blanc, experience. Sir David Brailsford, sports science and everything like that. Best. But this summer is pivotal in Manchester United moving forward. So you've got the Greenwood, you've got the Rashford, you've got the Sancho, Erik ten Hag's contract, all of the youth players that are coming back from loan, all the players that are going to be out of contract, players with 1 year left. You're going to need quite a lot of tools in your bag or in your toolbox to actually deal with the problem of this job. And I feel like Dan Ashworth, this is why Manchester United will just pay what it takes to get someone like this. And the experience that he's got, not just in recruitment side of things, but everything else, the development side of things. This will be his biggest job that he's ever had, especially coming into United at this stage. It's not like Ineos are comfortable and I've had a few years in charge at Manchester United. I know their sort of way around. Everything is afresh. Everything is starting from fresh. So the only way Ineos, and to answer questions, Ineos are approaching this in a way of they're getting everyone that they know or through their means and their sources, everyone possible that they know can help them going forward with this and putting them in place and making sure that they have got people in the know to do the jobs that are necessary. They couldn't have done this with the regime that's here now. It would have just been everyone looking at Ineos taking charge. Nothing's changed. It's still the same old United, except now you're looking at Glazers having zero blame and Manchester United now, everyone looking at the football club from Ineos' side, and they are the ones that are in charge of anything that goes wrong. So they need everyone at their disposal. They need people in place that can do the job to the standards that are required. We have a super chat in from the Honest Tiger. Hi Adam, here's 20. Can you do another comp for me for 2 lucky winners to win a FUTV mug? Thanks. You keep up the great work that you do for us. Thank you so much, Honest Tiger. I will get straight onto that, my friend, and announce that as soon as possible going into the weekend. Thank you, my man. But yeah, just going back, I'm going to come into the chat in a second, but in terms of where United are at, I've just explained there where we're at with negotiations-wise, why Ineos are bringing in Dan Ashworth, because of the mess that's there. The players that are out of contract, the player problems for the manager. If you're backing the manager, you have to deal with the player problems that he's got. So there has to be a connection there. Or does he come in and go, bang, I want rid of Ten Hag. I want a new manager in. I think this is going to work better for us going forward. This is why Ineos have to move quick and have to spend money to bring Dan Ashworth in. It's all right him sat there doing nothing and it all looks great in the summer. The summer's too late. They need to be in position now, and they need to be working now. The director of football's job is massive. Now, beforehand, the issues that we had were John Murtough. Not necessarily just him and his approach to things. The whole structure is reportedly being, or was wanting to be built around John Murtough. He was the head of the new recruitment and Manchester United's new structure. Now, Manchester United were originally negotiating with Dan Ashworth off recommendation from David Girl, Sir Alex Ferguson. Also, Richard Arnold wanted him in as well, but he did not want to work under John Murtough. So that's why them negotiations fell down and Ashworth did not come to Manchester United. He wants to be in position and head of the whole operation. And that's what he's being offered by Ineos now. He is going to be head honcho. What does this mean for John Murtough? Well, his role at the football club is going to change if he wants to stay. He has been a problem in us bringing in a director of football before. We've seen the mess that we're in now with him as a director of football. He has failed in his job. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's just say it as it is. He has failed in his job as football director, sporting director, whatever you want to call it. And now Manchester United are having to repair everything that him and his team and everyone else at the football club has done, which is get this club into an absolute state and a mess off the pitch. So Ashworth needs to come in now, which is why Ineos are going in full bore, spending everything they possibly have to get him through the door and get him to work quicker. Because I feel like Ineos want him in to be dealing with Ten Hag. That is how this all looks to me. I'm not saying that Ten Hag is out the door. I'm not saying this just proves that they want Ten Hag out of the door. I'm saying that this is what Ineos are doing to make sure that they are ready for taking Manchester United forward. It can only happen in the summer. Infrastructure-wise, yes, it's all great, but we need to be performing on the pitch, and that includes the manager as well as the players. So if they fully back Erik Ten Hag, Dan Ashworth comes in, gets to work quickly from now until the end of the season, watching over everything that's going on and calculating and auditing and doing whatever, then he's going to have to make a big decision come just before the end of the season. And I think it will be him who does make that decision regarding Ten Hag. So Barada's there, but he's not quite there until the summer. I think this is why Manchester United are going to pay the compensation. They have to deal with the Ten Hag issue. I'm not saying it's an issue if he stays. I'm saying he has issues if he does stay. And Dan Ashworth is going to have to make a decision whether to stick or twist back Ten Hag in the players that he does not like and wants out, and then start negotiating with him for players he wants in. Ashworth and Ten Hag's role at the football club and how much power Ten Hag wants over transfers. Is Ashworth going to be happy with that? He's then going to go to Ineos, going to go to Sir David Brailsford, to Jim, whoever it may be, and say, look, I cannot work with Ten Hag working this way. We need to make a change. We need to bring another manager in. That's the worst case scenario for Ten Hag, obviously. Our new contract and what's negotiated is the next big thing. And that being what Dan Ashworth's power will be over Ten Hag and how much say Ten Hag has got. So that, I feel, again, all comes down to the director of football and why Ineos want Dan Ashworth now and not waiting around to the summer. It's not going to be done quick enough. We're going to run out of time to bring Ashworth and order to Manchester United. He needs to be in now, and I'm talking in the next month, and then he's got a couple of months to work and figure out how he wants to approach the Ten Hag issue, because there are issues with and without Ten Hag staying at the football club, like I just explained. It's not straightforward. Everything's going to be fantastic. We've got one of the best guys in experience in recruiting and developing players coming through. He's got a lot more to deal with, and he's going to need more time than just coming in at the end of the season to deal with it. It's not enough. Players are one thing, managers another. Everything that comes with that manager, I feel, is the bigger job for the director of football. Will Ten Hag be happy signing a new deal, knowing that he isn't going to have as much power as what is stated in his current deal at Manchester United? That's the only contract Ten Hag is going to get. And then that's down to him whether he agrees to it. But Dan Ashworth will be dealing with all of that and more. So he needs to be in now. Otherwise, we're not going to have time to prepare for next season. And like we said, everything works and the structure works as long as everything on the pitch is working well. Get all of that in place back in the Champions League. I know that can only happen in what we deal with now and qualifying, but everything has to be working right on the pitch for Manchester United to work off the pitch. And Dan Ashworth has got a lot of sorting out to do because he is going to have his hands full. If Berardi isn't in until the end of the summer, until the start of the summer, then Dan Ashworth needs to be in now and he needs to be doing the groundwork. There probably will be communications with Berardi, I'm guessing, but we definitely need this appointment done and dusted as quick as possible, and that's why you're hearing the stories regarding Ineos going in with 10 million possibly, just paying over the odds again. Look, they've paid over the odds to come into Manchester United because they had a vision and they are determined. That says everything. That tells you everything you need to know. The amount of money they spent just to get this bit of control of the football club tells you everything you need to know. They're not going to hang around waiting around for results to come to them. They're going to go out there and do the best that they can to get results as soon as possible. If it means spending 10 million on a sporting director that we could have probably got for nothing but for Murto, then yes, this is what they're going to have to do. And it's going to take, I think, a couple of years of overspending and doing more than what they should have had to do for Ineos to get in some form of rhythm at United and get United ticking along. And that is why, whether it be 7, 10, more to get Ashworth in, Newcastle are going to take us to the cleaners. They're going to try to. We are now seeing how Manchester United negotiate under Ineos and how we work and what it's going to be like under this new regime. It's exciting to see, and this will be a locking of horns of two big powerhouses in the Saudi ownership and Ineos in trying to get this deal for Dan Ashworth done. We know for certain that he wants to come to United. He has spoken to Manchester United. The next dealings are between the two football clubs now, so it's going to be Ineos against Newcastle and the negotiating of how much we're going to have to pay, because we don't want to be taking Dan Ashworth while on gardening leave. We need him to get to work straight away because there's too much going on at the football club and we cannot waste any time. Into the chat we go. We're not far away from 100 likes, guys. Get liking the video, please, everybody. Everyone in the chat right now, if you give the video a like, when we would be over 100. Just closing in on 300 in the room with us right now. Let's see what we're all saying. 10 million, that's cheap for a director of football. That's standard, says Leo. Are you happy with that? Graham said, I think 38k was broken after last night's stream, Jonathan. Yeah, in terms of the actual setup and everything, I will have it all. I'm just updating everything on my system, guys. So, yeah, I need to put up there that we've got 38,000 subscribers. I'll get it all sorted, guys. Don't you worry. Let's see what else we've got on this one right now. Ineos need to come out and say that Erik ten Hag is the man that they have faith in. We're effed if we go through the manager merry-go-round at Nice have gone through. Yeah, well, I don't think they had the people in position that they're going to have at United well at Nice at the start of their tenure at Nice anyway. So, looking at it, I think they've learnt from their mistakes, and this is why they're bringing in the people that they are. I think this will be organised. I think the Dan Ashworth saga will be done by... I think it'll be done by March anyway. I think that's what we're looking at. I think the negotiations will move quite swiftly. And then he's going to have a couple of months to get to work, get into the club, speak to Ten Hag, start dealing with the situations at hand and organising themselves for the summer. I do believe that they have to start negotiating a contract with Ten Hag. I don't want them to, but I do understand the reality of, well, what is the manager going to perform like knowing that the club haven't given him any security for the future? Ten Hag in his mind, and all managers' minds, are looking ahead 3 or 4 years down the line. They have to think that way. That's why they bring young players in to develop. And unless you give that manager time, you are not going to get the results that you envisaged. You're not going to get them. You're not going to be given the chance to get that. So every manager needs time. Are United about to break the mould of barely managers getting over 2 years in charge at Manchester United? This is a big next few months for everyone at Manchester United. The players, like we said, and them up in their game, and now a new system being in place where mediocrity isn't going to be rewarded. Everyone's going to be accountable for their performances. The manager, his new contract and what power he has got, it's all changing. Who is calling the shots? There is a lot coming up. And Ineos are moving for heaven and earth to getting everything in place ready for this summer. Quite simply, I'm looking to see, let alone Ashworth. Yep, it's not difficult to see the issues at the football club, but it's dealing with them, I think, is the problem. Juddy Sports says, latest news from Athletic on Ashworth shows Murto is out the door as soon as he signs. Yeah, it's that whole, I think it's going to be with Murto, look, you're not going to have the power that you once had. What do you want to do? Do you want an advisory role or another role? Or do you want out the door? I think most people won't have a problem as long as he hasn't got any power, him being at the club. But I think if you asked everybody, they really would be more inclined to be wanting him to be out of Manchester United completely after what he's done and how poor negotiations in the past have been and gone down with him. Let me just see some more. Yes, it's been reported Omar and new sporting director will make joint decisions on manager. They'll be the ones. Ashworth is going to have a massive say on it, I keep telling you. As a journalist at The Athletic, put their name to that article, interested as to who is running that story in terms of Murto they're talking about in the chat there and him being out of the door as soon as Ashworth signs. Manchester United generates the most revenue in the league, so will be able to spend the most and remain in financial fair play limits. Good afternoon to you too, Sanjay. I think it was Whitwell or someone like that, Graham. Laurie Whitwell has been all over Manchester United and stories recently as well, so wouldn't be surprised. I believe Erik ten Hag will sign a new deal with the veto on transfers taken away. Where would he go from here? Anywhere else would be a drop down in his career. Take the pressure off him and let him coach. She's all the credentials of coaching again now, isn't it? That's the problem. We have a new member in the house donated by the Honest Tiger, and that is Rory C. Welcome to the Members Club, Rory. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Could the new ownership be so brutal and drop Banana and bring back De Gea? Gerald, that won't happen, I don't think, especially if Erik ten Hag still is the manager. Graham says, Dave Brailsford sacked Jim Radcliffe's brother Bob from Nice. Thanks, Graham. Shows you how brutal everyone is within Ineos. Let me just read through. Garnacho and Mainu would never have played under other manager. I think they would have. Well, the injuries that we've had this season, we definitely would have had youth team players coming through. Murto needs to be sacked for the damage he's done to the club. We earned the circus reputation because of Murto and Woodward. Yeah, I would say that's true. Under their time in charge of in their certain roles, we definitely dropped off, and we did become the laughing stock. We really did. And I think, like I said, no one's going to be bothered if Murto is out of the door. I think change all around. David Gill was only interviewing with Rio Ferdinand the other day, saying it's good that Manchester United have employed from outside and not from within. It needs a fresher look. It needs completely tearing up and starting again, and that's what's happening. And that's what's happening with Ashworth coming through. Other news today, I want to move on. We have some good news regarding Luke Shaw. He is back in full training, which is excellent for us. Obviously, we had the issue of going into this weekend with no first-team left-back, with still no Malacia. Obviously, issues with Aaron Wan-Bissaka still, and why Dalot can't play on the left. I think we'll get questions and answers today, later on this afternoon, from Ten Hag regarding Diogo Dalot. Not Diogo Dalot, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and his fitness. So, be very, very interesting to see what comes out of the press conference today in terms of player fitness situation and who is going to be available for Luton. I think it's looking promising. No new injury news, and with Luke Shaw coming back, we are looking as strong as we possibly can be. So that in itself is good news going forward into the weekend. And Manchester United keeping up their good run of form. Let's just see what else we've got in the chats. Are we happy that Luke Shaw is back, guys? I think we have to be, don't we? I wonder if Benny McCarthy is as good as they say, says Gerald. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. A lot of people were giving him credit for Rashford's form last season. Then when it all fell off a cliff, they were blaming him as well. People are easy to point the finger. It's easy for people to point the finger, I should say. Adam, if Erik ten Hag goes, who do you think will come in? I've no idea, mate. I want ten Hag to work out. I do. Because I don't see anyone else out there available that's going to take United forward at the moment. And again, that's another problem we've got to deal with. I feel like it's not so much the manager's capabilities just with dealing with a team and making it work. I think it's the manager's capabilities of fitting into what Ineos want to do and how they want to run United. I think that's what they'll probably be looking at. Please give the video a like, guys. Let's get it up to the 150 mark. It's your job to make sure the video is liked and put out there, and it all helps the channel, guys. Don't forget to download the SofaScore app as well, our partners and sponsors of the channel. Drop down into the description below, and there is a link there right at the top for SofaScore. That's if you cannot scan that QR code on your screen right now. You may be watching on your phone and can't scan the QR code, so the link is in the description, guys. Download it for the best sports app out there, football-wise, the best for every single club, every single team news, injury news, player ratings, player stats, everything you need to know, every single game, even pre-season, and all the up-to-date transfer news as well. So, yeah, get it downloaded. It's free, and it's the best. Like I always say. I think I say it every single stream, don't I? But, hey, why not when it's free? Delighted that Shawberto is likely to be fit again, says Graham. When is Ten Hag press conference? It is at 2 o'clock this afternoon, everybody, just so you know. 2 o'clock England time. I don't know why we've started to move the press conferences across to Thursdays all of a sudden. The last 2 weeks, Ten Hag has just been taking advantage of the space and time within the weeks and doing his press conferences on a Thursday now. So that's going to be 2 o'clock today. We'll go over all of the press conference stuff and what was said in detail later on this evening in the evening show at 6:30. So tune in for that one there as well, guys. But yeah, Shaw being back is very, very good news. I think the questions will be asked about Wan-Bissaka and if he's going to be fit for the game as well. They're the key ones, I would say, in terms of the squad fitness for Ten Hag in the press conference. Will he be questioned on everything going on with the club, Dan Ashworth, and everything being announced? I can't see. He's pretty much covered everything. I can't see the journal. Well, to be honest, the journalists do get a bit repetitious with questions that they ask Ten Hag in press conferences. But yeah, I feel like we're going to be. There's going to be certain questions asked regarding Dan Ashworth and working within a structure. I think that's an opportunity for journalists to ask certain questions like that. In terms of your new contract, would you be happy if it changed? And these are the sort of questions you sort of now expect to be asked, because we know what Dan Ashworth is going to be doing at Manchester United. We know what his role is at other clubs. So automatically journalists will start asking questions about Ten Hag's future and how he may have to change and work along with a different system and a different structure. I think that's inevitable. So yeah, expect that to come as well. There is more news about possible transfer targets as well for Manchester United. Now, Branthwaite is now apparently being... Oh, well, he's being priced up at 50 million is the news coming out at the moment. I don't know if that's a definite or not. I said when the whole 100 million thing came out, we did a video on it. Branthwaite for 100 million, very unlikely. There's very few players in the Premier League now with the way that PSR and financial fair play is kicking in that are going to be worth 100 million. All of that is just going to bring the price of players down. I don't think we're going to get inflated. I mean, West Ham never going to be able to sell Gerard Bowen for that price that they've set. The days of Declan Rice, Bowen for 100 million, Harry Maguire's for 80 odd millions, these days are gone. These days are long gone, and I don't think we're going to be anywhere near them sort of prices now going forward. It's going to be one of, I think, 40, 50 million Branthwaite. That's the price. I think it's coming into line with everyone else in Europe and what their prices are. I think clubs are having to think like this now. They're having to drop prices and just fall into line a little bit. Otherwise, they're never going to move players on. And then that opportunity may go. So you have to be realistic. And if you are a selling club, then you're not going to get as much as what you once was. You're not, because everyone has to abide by the new rules, and that is what's going to happen. It's just going to bring everything down, and all the prices that you thought you were going to get, i.e. the 100 million garbage, then you're not going to get. It's definitely not going to happen, and I feel like everyone is just going to have to just change their whole approach to how they sell players. Sorry, just getting up some more information now as well. I wanted to go through back to, I mean, in terms of transfer targets for Manchester United, it's the unknown at the moment. We know about the centre-backs. Elise is officially a target for Manchester United. I think that's within common knowledge now. Manchester United, once the transfer window opens, will be approaching Palace with an offer. We're expected to be with Aaron Wan-Bissaka included and cash for Michael Elise. That's where we're at with it, and that has been confirmed by quite a few sources now. We've already known about it. The speculation has been there, and I feel like that is probably going to be one of Ashworth's first signings, you could say. I just wanted to go through some of the stuff, some of the signings that Ashworth has actually brought through in his time. So if you go over the likes of Brighton and Newcastle, his previous two jobs, and what transfers he was actually involved in. I mean, for Brighton alone, this is how he's worked at, let's say, a lesser club that's looking to earn money off finding players and selling them on. Like Brighton do, we know what they do. So players like Caicedo, 4.5 million. Ashworth was part of that negotiation and that deal. Cucurella came in for 15.4 million. How much profit have you got between them two alone there? Trossard, he came in for 15 million. He has just been sold to Arsenal. McAllister, 7 million. And two players still at the football club now. Them four have all been sold on for humongous amounts of profit, by the way. You think Caicedo, he's at Chelsea. Cucurella, he's at Chelsea. Trossard, he's at Arsenal. And McAllister, he's at Liverpool. All moved on to bigger clubs for higher fees. Guys, 12 away from the 150. Get a like in the video, please. And then you've got Matoma and Lamptey. Lamptey was signed for 4 million. Matoma signed for 2.7 million. I think when Matoma does go, which I think he will, you can expect more profit there within the region of, 40-50 million, surely. 2.7 million. Dear God, man. Where does he find these players? And then you've got the other end of the scale, the Newcastle side. So you've got the billions of the Saudi ownership. So you've got two examples of how Dan Ashworth works. At the lower level, no disrespect to Brighton, well-run club and comfortably in the top half of the table, but not expected to challenge for anything. They are now back in Europe with the players and the help of the players that have been brought in. So you've got that example there of dealing with the lower end of the scale in bringing players forward, quality players, and then making money off them. That is important. Maybe not as important for the likes of Manchester United. We'll find decent players nowhere near for the likes of 2.7 million, 4 million like he was at Brighton. That's the difference there. But moving across to the billions and the expectation level at Newcastle. Now this is where it changes up a little bit. So straight away, the players that he's involved in signing for Newcastle. Isaac, 63 million. I think that's money well spent and has been a great signing for Newcastle. By far their best forward player, in my opinion. Next to Anthony Gordon at 45 million. That I didn't think was a good deal. I didn't rate Gordon until he went to Newcastle. But a structure, a coaching, and a management setup that is all in line and works together finds the players that you know are going to fit that system and that team and work for that manager, the characteristics of that player, the right time to bring that player in. Gordon, I think, has been a revelation at Newcastle and definitely one of their best players. Harvey Barnes, 39 million from Leicester. Now, obviously, they take advantage of Leicester going down. And Harvey Barnes is a great player, fantastic winger. He has been blighted with injuries this season, as we know, and he's just on his way back now. Livramento, 36 million, now continuously playing in the team. A good signing again at a reasonable price. Some would say borderline reasonable. But the trend here is nothing major league in terms of how much they're spending. It's just all run-of-the-mill very safe between 30 and 60 million pound signings. I think this is ultimately where United will be operating, like we've said. And I feel Ashworth coming in, I think from what I've been saying, and Manchester United never really going above 70 million for signings now, and the type of player that we're going to have to bring in, I think Ashworth just falls into line with that. He'll have the money to spend, he'll have the players to look at, he'll know where them players are, and he will be in a position of more power and being able to influence this sort of signing more. Botman, 35 million, I think he has been a good signing. The one you could probably question, not price-wise, 55 million for Tonali, but who was doing the research into what was going on there and the situation with the gambling in Italy? That for me is a question mark one, and one that will bring up. Why was no one picking up on that? And if Dan Ashworth was involved in that, we can't just bring up his good. I think he has to take some of the blame for that as well. Because if he's the one involved and in charge of a deal like that and not done his homework, then that's a negative. That's a cross in the column for Dan Ashworth in terms of bad transfers, because Newcastle have really lost out this season. They set off like an absolute steam train and have fallen off a cliff. It has coincided with injuries, yes, but Tonali being a constant absence as well with that. I feel like that one there, that just shows you that, you know what, not everyone gets it right all the time. You have to know what's happening behind the scenes. You have to know everything about the players coming in. And that's what a recruitment team does. 90% of his signings look decent from that list alone that you're saying there. There's just the odd one that you've still got to be aware of and always pay attention to. And I feel like that one there, that will probably gripe him. That will probably really wind him up because his record is exceptional. But I feel like as a director of football, that's got to be narking you that a little bit, hasn't it? That really has. To let that one slip and be so crucial to Newcastle's season, I think that's crucial. That is absolutely crucial for Newcastle. And I feel has played a big part in their downturn this season. It really has. It really has. Into the chat we go. Guys, get all your questions and comments coming in now. Back end of the show, we are just going to go through all of them. Adam, it might cost us 15 million to get Ashworth out of gardening leave, out the garden leave clause, but it'll save us that very quickly with transfers and wages lowering. This is the short-term loss for the long-term gain sort of situation with Ashworth. Ineos are coming in, they know they can't waste time, and they're just going full bore. Let's get this guy in, let's get this deal done, let's get it over the line and move forward as quickly as possible. And that's where they're at with it. We're going to play Elise. Where you going to play Elise? Well, again, Ashworth's job, Sancho, Anthony, Palestra, Ahmad, Rashford. Where are you going to play Elise? He predominantly plays on the right. We have got an issue with wingers at this football club at the moment, and that issue is in a few problematic areas with the likes of Anthony and his poor form and not being able to get him in the team. The fact that Ten Hag, the manager, doesn't like Sancho. And if Eric Ten Hag is going to stay at the club, then Ashworth's going to be the one that's dealing with the Jadon Sancho situation. So, yeah, this is why he's having to come in early. Then you will find the answer to that question of where we're going to play Elise. United are paying extra compensation, so there will be no gardening leave already reported by Fabrizio and The Athletic. It's how much is the question right now and what they're going to have to do just to get Ashworth in the door now. The new recruitment team isn't in place yet. They may not even look at Elise. United have more important positions to focus on first. Who knows what their vision is yet? I think it is. I think they're already in and they already know. Honestly, I think Elise is on the list. I think he's a player that everyone knows is a good fit for most top teams. As long as he stays fit, I feel like that's a player that you're going to be bringing in to Manchester United. At that price, I think that's fair. The age, the price, the wages are not going to be too high. I think he fits the mould automatically. Some players just stand out and go, well, yeah, you can't turn that down. He's a United fan. He wants to come to United. He is an improvement on what we've got at the moment, and he's affordable. Sometimes you just go, yeah, you don't need directors of football sometimes with certain signings. It just works as long as you need that player in that position. And it's right that you say where we're going to play him, but ultimately it's also adding to the situation with getting Ashworth in very quickly, because he's got work to do to clear out players that really don't belong at the football club. Gary Owen says, reports are saying that Newcastle will demand a gardening period no matter how much we pay in compensation. This is where Ineos come in and say, look, no, we'll pay you more. Let's just get this deal done. We're about to see Ineos' mettle tested as such. So everyone, let's just hold on to our hats and see what happens with that. Parashant says, United should try to have a model like Real Madrid in terms of signing top targets, spending on infra, and as well as not being afraid to sell players like Casemiro when they can be replaced. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be paying the prices that Real Madrid are paying, but their model on being able to know when it's time to get rid of a player, I think that's definitely something that Manchester United, we used to be able to do that, and I think we need to bring back. I definitely agree with that. 100% agree with that. Loan players need to be sold, says Michael. There's a few, quite a lot actually. Why do we want to spend money on a right winger when we have so many other positions to strengthen? It's not so much wasting money. I feel like we are going to have money to spend in that area this summer because we're selling players in that same position, I think is the answer to that one. I'd be more open to keeping Garnacho on the right and bringing in a left winger to replace Rashford. Cavarat from Napoli would look good in a United shirts. Would he look good? Yeah. Maybe make some money commercially as well? Yeah. Is he going to be able to handle the pressure and actually perform on a pitch? That's what's more important right now. Alan says, we to play if left on left, same with right footers. Sorry, typos there, mates. All the players we have bought were successful. Van Nistelrooy, Veron and Rio weren't successful. Just reading through that one there. Sorry, just trying to make sense of it. Will McTominay stay now because Ashworth wanted him at Newcastle? It doesn't matter what Ashworth wanted at Newcastle, and it's completely irrelevant. I think McTominay's staying anyway. It's only me. I feel like that's set in stone now. I think we can guarantee that is what's going to be happening with McTominay. Glazers is the trouble. We have had all bankers, not football people, says Michael. A lot is about to change, obviously, and this is why it's so exciting. We're nearly finished up, guys. If you could just give the video a like before we finish up, we should be okay for making that 200 mark, guys. So please do give the video a like as well. It does help the channel. And thank you very much for tuning in, as always. Last few moments to get your questions in, guys. Where's Mount going to play? A question that comes up nearly every single stream. Oh, God, I do not know. I think Mount comes in if someone gets injured. He's going to have to accept his role next to McTominay on the bench, I feel. That's my position for Mason Mount. I don't see him fitting in anywhere else in this team. And I think he's going to be a problem for Ten Hag to try and squeeze in. Facundo Palestri deserves a chance at United. He's doing well so far. Let's just see how well he does, see if he continues his form first. Anthony is left-footed but plays on the right. Again, I think I've answered that one so many times. I completely agree with everyone. If you are going to play Anthony, just play him on the left. Play him where he's comfortable. And let's see if we can actually get some crosses into the big guns. You know, I think half the time Ten Hag has hampered the progress of Anthony, convincing himself that he's going to get all his time that he had at Ajax to cut in and play his little party tricks on the right wing, cut in and shoot and score. It's not the same in the Premier League. Ten Hag has said this himself, and I can't believe he's not cottoned onto it and tried to change it up for Anthony position-wise. It's a big disappointment that he's not done it. I just feel like he would play better there. And sometimes you think with Ten Hag, it's like, why not roll the dice? Just see, Eric. Let's see if he can actually do something on that side as well. I don't know. Mount is Martial replacement, says Jonathan. I got more hope for Mount than I have Martial, I'll be honest. Will Mason return? Sell Mount? Will Mount be sold? 3 questions in a row there in the chats. I don't think he'll be sold. I don't know where he's going to play though. I just don't know. I don't know. Bruno will be moved on in a couple of seasons and Mason takes his place gradually. The Muppet Show, I can see where you're going with that, but is Mason Mount at his age now and needing to get in that England team going to wait 2 years? 2 years you could completely lose all of your form and it could just fall off a cliff. Everything. I don't think players can wait around 2 years. Not players that were brought in for that price tag, wearing the bleeding number 7 shirt as well. No. Yanis Tiger, thanks Adam. Always the point with another great podcast. Always to the point, yes. Guys, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a ball. Loved all your comments today as well, guys. Fantastic stream. We'll be back later on this evening at 6:30, so do join us then. If anything breaks in the meantime, I will be all over it. But yes, that for now is everything, guys. So join us later on at 6:30 and we'll be going over what happens in the press conference, key questions being asked to Ten Hag today, and of course all the other news coming out of Manchester United. Will we get any more updates on Dan Ashworth and everything else happening along that situation right now? But that is it, guys. Please give the video a like on your way out. Let's get up to that 200 mark before we finish, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are tuning in for the first time. This is Forever United TV. I'm Adam.